Short answer, no. One Piece does not get worse after the time skip. So my first One Piece video I made a week ago where I talked about when does One Piece get good, episode 1 by the way, and I got some comments with people saying One Piece gets bad after the time skip. And look, I get where the idea comes from. Personally, I'm also a bigger fan of the pre-time skip era, but what I don't agree with is people calling post-time skip story bad. I think why some dislike it is because it's different, but that doesn't make it worse. In fact, I want to make a case for why post-time skip arcs like Fishman Island, Punkasser, Dressrosa, and beyond are good, and also very vital to the story Oda's telling. Before I jump into why the time skip arcs work, let's talk about why I think so many people, myself included, feel more emotionally connected to the first half of One Piece. And I think it boils down to this. Pre-time skip One Piece is incredibly character driven with the Straw Hats. We're right there with the Straw Hats one by one, getting their backstories, their pain, their dreams. Syrup Village, Barty, Arlong Park, Drum Island, Water 7, etc. It centers on a core member of the Straw Hats. We're not just watching a pirate adventure, we're watching people grow, bond, and chase something bigger than themselves. But post-time skip, the focus shifts. The world opens up. The majority of the screen time isn't purely focused on the Straw Hats, as they all have grown as people. Thus, it isn't as necessary to spend as much time with them. But that doesn't mean we still don't get screen time with them, as we do. If there's one thing I think post-time skip does better, it's the world building, or more specifically, its treatment of key players outside the Straw Hats. Before the time skip, the world felt smaller, not in a bad way, it was clearly by design. We had what you would call a limited perspective, where the majority of the time it was tied to what the Straw Hats saw. We learned what they learned, but because of that limited POV, a lot of the bigger forces in the world, Yonkos, Admirals, Revolutionary Army, existed more like rumors than reality. Their influence was felt, but their roles were vague. Sure, we had hints of chaos brewing with Blackbeard making his move, but even still, characters like Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, Dragon, Shanks, they all felt like they were on standby. Pieces on a board Oda hadn't moved yet, as the story was still building its foundation. But post-time skip, the gloves come off. Suddenly, everyone is in motion. The Yonkos aren't just legends anymore, they're active threats. Kaido is no longer a name, he's a towering force of destruction. Big Mom has a bunch of islands where she built her paradise, and her crew is made almost entirely of family. The Revolutionary Army isn't just a shadow group anymore. We now know the majority of its leaders and how they're making plays. The Marines evolve into something scary, more authoritative. Okay, I can't pronounce that word. I thought I could just because I could write it. Okay, that's the last time I'm using a big word. But moving on, so this all makes the world of One Piece far bigger, and that's not even mentioning how much the arcs themselves expand on the world even more by either giving more context or adding something that recontextualizes everything, and all of them being tied to future arcs as well. Fishman Island being one of them. Now I've seen some say this arc is bad because of stuff like pacing, the antagonist, or how heavy-handed the message is, and I say to you, no. If anything, make the message more heavy-handed. The fact racism is still an issue shows that message needs to be thrown at everyone's faces, and just because a message is told to us and not shown, it's not bad storytelling. Many use the argument, show, don't tell us, as if that's the peak storytelling right there, when it isn't. Many seem to miss that not all stories can use that method of storytelling, an example being detective or mystery stories, and that's the point Oda is trying to make. This issue isn't something that can just be shown, it has to be told to us. The hatred, the regret, the pain of all these characters like Fisher Tiger, Otohime, and my god did I love those flashbacks so much. It made me tear up when they were taking Koala back to her home and Fisher Tiger tells her it's okay to cry, and he threw away his gun into the ocean, and then the rest threw down their weapons as well. How is that not good writing? And also the fact that Koala ends up joining the Revolutionary Army because of Fisher Tiger's actions make his story come to a beautiful end. Him not wanting to pass that hatred to the next generation, and he did it. Despite his flaws, he still managed to plant that seed of hope, and it's shown through Koala. As for the pacing, sure, the pacing was a little bit slow, but overall, I think it's very passable, unlike a certain arc. As for the antagonist, now I'm sure many have heard the argument, but Hody being different is the point of his character. And I agree with that, they are right. Honestly, I don't find Hody entertaining to watch compared to the other antagonists. But what was entertaining was to watch Luffy beat him up, showing how weak he is. Where Crocodile was a mastermind and Eno was a tyrant, Hody is a monster made by ideology. He's a villain born from hate without pain. He grew up in a time when the worst oppression of fishermen was already being addressed. He didn't experience the trauma that Fisher Tiger or anyone else lived through. He just inherited their rage. His hatred of humans isn't based on anything he went through. He's what happens when hate is passed down like an heirloom. When Luffy punches Crocodile, he's beating a corrupt mastermind. When Luffy punches Eno, he's beating a delusional god. But when Luffy punches Hody, he's punching the idea that hate makes you strong. Oda intentionally makes Hody ugly, unlikable, and stripped of nuance because the point of his character isn't to be fascinating. It's to be a mirror to the failures of both fishmen and human society. He's a product of a broken system that tried to solve things with violence and silence instead of healing. And that's what makes the arc's emotional climax work for me. Luffy doesn't care if he's a human or a fishman. He's just doing it because he wants to. This is not a political answer, it's a personal one. Luffy doesn't represent a race or a cause. He's just doing what he wants to. And it's that contrast between Luffy's freedom and Hody's hollow rage that defines the message of Fishman Island. And it's why I love this arc so much. And then there's Jinbei, who was carrying this heavy burden because of his actions. And to see Nami tell Jinbei it's okay, and Jinbei crying, God, I love Jinbei so much. I cried with him right there. Now, I'm not saying these post-time skip arcs are perfect. The Sanji blood issue plotline, I hated that so much, but it's issues I can overlook because of the good. It outweighs it, and it carries on in the future arcs as well, where these arcs feel more connected to the grand story of One Piece and its key players. This being the arc where we first hear Joy Boy as well. Now for arcs like Punk Hazard, the same can apply as well. Not only is this arc where we meet Kinemon, Momonosuke, and the whole Smile Devil Fruits, and also being connected to Doflamingo and Kaido, it's stuff like this that makes these arcs so fun to me. As in pre-time skip, when we enter a new arc, the issue at its core is about the Straw Hats and the main villain is dealt with in that arc. But post time skip, it feels like we're defeating mini bosses, getting closer and closer to the big boss. And also, this arc has Law in it. That immediately makes this arc a 10 out of 10. Who doesn't like Law? He's sexy, he's cool powers. And also this funny Law joke with Chopper. And that's not even to mention the rest of the funny moments this arc has, as there's another top 5 funniest scene in One Piece with Robin and Frankie. Hell, we even have Sanji being nice to guys this arc. It's stuff like this that makes me question how some people just say these arcs are bad, as there's so much good to offer as well. Now as for Dressrosa, okay, I had to be honest. The anime version, yes. The pacing genuinely made the story not that fun to watch, with them repeating Rebecca's backstory over and over, the episode starting at around 7 minutes, a lot of reaction shots. I did end up watching the entire arc in the anime, but I had to read the manga version after I finished it, as I needed to see how it was paced there, and yeah, it was way better. And honestly, this arc was very good as well, manga-wise. But I will give credit to the anime for making Law's backstory so good, especially the ending was so well directed. And even when Oda finally returned to what you would call his old roots with the whole cake arc, delving into someone from the Straw Hats, Sanji, who we been hinted at there being more to his story, and my god was it so good. But what makes it even better is, unlike many pre-time skip arcs, which focus on the crew uniting to take down the big bad in this arc, but Whole Cake flips the formula. It's a rescue mission, a heist, and a tragedy rolled into one with Sanji at the core. And the anime finally fixed its pacing in this arc, compared to Dressrosa, by the way. God, I cried so much during the Sanji vs Luffy episode. Luffy saying he can't be king of the pirates without him. Stuff like this is what makes me raise an eyebrow when I hear people say, post-time skip, it got worse, when there are hundreds and hundreds of moments that are so wonderfully written. So I can go on and on about the good in the other arcs as well, but I guess all I really wanted to get at as to why I think the post-time skip is still good. While I do miss the focus on the Straw Hats, their struggles and their growth they went through in their arcs, the focus just shifted to other stuff of One Piece that Oda has been building up for so long, and now he's finally getting to it. And even then, it's not like we still don't have incredibly beautiful character driven stories, as shown with Law, Momonosuke, Rebecca, and Kairos. And sure, Oda could expand on more Straw Hat struggles like he did with Sanji, as we got a whole other layer to his character in the Whole Cake arc, and we do get some moments here and there with others, but overall, I'm satisfied with the direction One Piece is heading, and I can't wait till I watch more One Piece, as I am waiting for the Egghead anime to release more episodes before I start the arc. So hope you enjoyed this video, and can't wait to post more One Piece videos, as I have others in mind.